The report says you made threats to harm the victim, her child, and her family members. It says you specifically mentioned knowing where a child attended school and where another family member lived, threatening to, quote, burn this family member's house down. It says during one video call, you claimed you had a gun and ammunition and made threats against law enforcement. I think officers located you. You fled on foot for a short period of time, were apprehended during that pursuit. Is that accurate as to what happened in the case?
I don't remember any meth being on me, but as far as like hurting her and her family and stuff like that, one thing about this place, you don't mess with children, you don't mess with old people. Despite what people think about us in here, there are rules, there are things that we do follow. Hurting kids isn't one of them, but yeah, I do remember saying that it's best for me not to be around because I'll burn her shit down, whether it's her house, her car, whatever, whether it's just a statement. However she took it, she's entitled to feel the way she felt.
Okay, and we're about to see the parole hearing for this man who may have abused this woman, and this was his partner in crime. I mean, because he was initially locked up in 2020 with her when he stole a car, evaded police, got in a high-speed chase, and then when he crashed, did a home invasion to try to escape from the police. That landed him a 1 to 15-year sentence, but don't worry, he didn't spend much time in prison at all. As a matter of fact, he was paroled about a year and a few months later, and then since then has been just getting revoked, paroled, revoked, paroled. And as you can see, prison has changed this man. You literally can't recognize him. Anyways, let's watch the hearing. I'll share the results with you and more details on the case at the end.
The first case is case 2419-01199. Looks like November 11th, 2023. The victim, who I believe was a romantic partner, was a passenger in the car you were driving. There was an argument. During that argument, you told this victim, quote, you had no problem ending her life and bashing her face in. I think the victim exited the car. You left and returned multiple times. At one point, you grabbed the victim's arm and she fell to the ground. I think at one point you promised not to hurt the victim if she gave you a ride to a family member's house, which she agreed to do. On the way, you again told her that you had no problem, quote, bashing her face in. At one point, you placed your hand on the victim's neck, causing scratch marks that were observed later. The report says you struck the victim in the face. I think the victim at that point again got out of the vehicle. The report says you told her to get back in the car or you would, quote, burn the car. Looks like officers responded to the victim's call. You had the car at that time. I think while the officers were with the victim, you called her several times. I think an officer spoke to you over the phone, told you to bring the car back, and you argued with the officer and called the officer derogatory names as well. I think at the end of this, you did drop the car somewhere and told the victim where it was, where she was able to recover that. Is that accurate as to what happened in the case?
Oh no, there's her side, my side, and what really happened. I mean, that's hers.
Are there any statements or comments you'd like to make about that case for the board to be aware of?
If I'm in her car, what do I need to keep going back for a ride for? I kicked her out of the car and I left and dropped her car off at the thing. And there was a whole bunch of things said, so it's irrelevant to me. But
so do you deny that you assaulted the victim, that you struck the victim? Do you deny saying, threatening her, saying you had no problem ending her life, bashing her face in? Do you deny that you did those things?
I didn't assault her, but I said a whole bunch of stuff. So
did you say, quote, I have no problem ending your life and bashing your face in? Is that something you said?
That's not really how I talk, but that's her side.
Is that generally what things that you said? Were there threats being made, etc.?
I said that it was best for me to just drop her car off because if I'm around her, then it's gonna cause an issue. It's gonna be worse, lead to physical stuff. So, however she took it, that she felt threatened, and she's entitled to feel that way.
Well, I'll note your comments for the board. Certainly, we have the version of this case. The board will have access to that, and that's why we're conducting today's hearing, so that I can take your statements, provide those to the board if you'd like to. The next case is case 2317-02437. December 15th, 2023. The report says you threatened to burn the same victim's house down, and it said you were in possession of a handgun. The report says you made threats to harm the victim, her child, and her family members. It says you specifically mentioned knowing where a child attended school and where another family member lived, threatening to, quote, burn this family member's house down. It says during one video call, you claimed you had a gun and ammunition and made threats against law enforcement. I think officers located you. You fled on foot for a short period of time, were apprehended during that pursuit. I think you had in your possession a drug pipe used to a drug pipe, about 0.37 grams of marijuana and 0.17 grams of methamphetamine. Is that accurate as to what happened in the case?
I don't remember any meth being on me, but as far as like hurting her and her family and stuff like that, one thing about this place, you don't mess with children, you don't mess with old people. Despite what people think about us in here, there are rules, there are things that we do follow. Hurting kids isn't one of them, but yeah, I do remember saying that it's best for me not to be around because I'll burn her shit down, whether it's her house, her car, whatever, whether it's just a statement. However she took it, she's entitled to feel the way she felt.
Okay. So if I'm understanding correctly, you deny some of those specific things, but your statement is you said you told this victim it's best for me not to be around you because I'll burn your stuff down.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Well, is that anything else you'd like to add? Any statements for the board about what happened in this case?
I've known this girl most of my life, so it's an argument. Don't sleep with the homeboys. Simple. I wasn't man enough to walk away. I was, I got all this dysfunction and insecurities of my own going on, so I didn't do what I was supposed to do as a man and leave the situation, and I just made it worse. I take full responsibility for what I did, what I said.
All right. Looks like you were released on parole July 23. The report says you did not do any ordered treatment. You had a test for marijuana August 23. I think you've said maybe you had a medical marijuana card at the time is your statement. So you didn't establish a residence of record. The threat of violence case occurred obviously November 11th. The non-Board of Pardons jurisdiction attempted aggravated assault case occurred December 12th, 2023. The probable cause for this allegation, let's see, to which you entered admission, describes you striking this victim and choking this victim in that case. And the next case obviously occurred December 15th, and you've been in custody since then. To me, this is a very concerning pattern of domestic violence over multiple incidents in a short period, in a months-long period of time. That's a concerning pattern of facts, pattern of behavior, as I'm viewing them. What led to you engaging in that behavior quickly as you started parole?
I was doing, I thought I was doing good. I was working, and I was just in a very dysfunctional relationship. There was no trust, there was no communication, a lot of cheating going on, a lot of behind the back stuff on both ends, and it spiraled out of control within, you said a month, it was all within weeks. I mean, it was.
Yeah, I'm in reviewing your history. There's been multiple periods of time where a pattern of domestic violence similar to this has happened on past paroles, past clumps of convictions for protective order violation, domestic violence. Have you gained any insight into the causes of that? What leads to that cycle of behavior? Insight in how you plan to address that, or think you could address that moving forward?
Well, I know that we come in here and they throw us in these little programs. There's a program in here that they just started. It's 3 hours a week for 6 months. So society will look at it and say, "Oh, hey, good job. You're trying to be human. Congratulations." We get our little time cut. You guys get paid, whatever it is. And we keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. But yeah, you guys call us crazy. we get out. There's all these programs out there. I come to you with a plan, and I can say, hey, I got this plan. I got 38 months. I've been down a year. I got 28 months left. I can go do the Other Side Academy or Red Barn. They got a 92% success rate. When you walk out of there, you're a different human being. You are established. You have a job. You get your family back. You get bank accounts, your credit scores, anything health wise. But instead, I get shut down.
Well, I'm
And-
looking here in 2018, absconded after four months on parole. The second parole, this commitment, you enrolled in the Other Side Academy's 2-year program, and you absconded from that program after a week. The next parole, absconded after 4 months, and then, after 4 months on that fourth parole, then this most recent parole. So, I generally what you said there's these programs, you
Wasn't ready.
participate in them. The goal of those programs is to establish tools, establish plans to break this cycle of behavior. So that's kind of what I was asking you.
Yeah, you're right.
The
You're right.
programs are there. What insight have you gained? What needs to be different so that we can break this cycle of behavior?
Everything, everything. And that's what I've done. I've dropped out this time. I have no friends. I don't communicate with anybody. Before I didn't do that. It was association. It was, boredom. I've developed plans, goals. I've got family back. I got support behind me. I didn't have that. I mean, I've always had it. I chose not to engage in anything that was being offered to me. I was still using, and I wasn't ready back then. It was just it was to get out, and that's the difference.
Yeah, and back to the programs, certainly, I think we've all seen if it's a program you're doing to check a box to get something out of it, right? There may be some benefits with that, but I think making a decision to apply yourself, to gain the tools, to apply them, so it's not, the program's teaching principles that if applied can make difference. And that's my belief, at least. And I think the first step in that is buying into it, making a decision to make some change, to apply yourself, and to go from there. You mentioned, so you said my understanding is you were moved to Uinta County because that's a place where you will be able to participate in a program, given the housing situation and in the situation that you mentioned. Are you wanting to do that? Do you think that's a beneficial thing, or is it just like you said, 3 days a week that's wasting your time, or kind of what's your thoughts on that?
I'm done. I'm currently doing everything that I can do to try to better myself. I don't know if you've seen in my blue packet all the certificates I've sent you since I've been down, but being an SL4, being a dropout, I can't walk the main line. I've been in max for a year. I haven't even seen outside since last December, except when they brought me here. My immune system messed up. I got stuff going on with my face, like my health is deteriorating, but I'm doing everything I can. Look in the blue packet, there's certificates. I've done everything. I've gotten into welding, plumbing, HVAC. I'm doing all that. They brought me here to do this program because it's newer. It's for SL inmates. We're limited. We don't get to, you would think that dropping out and trying to better ourselves, we'd be, able to do more. We do less. We can't walk the main line. We can't go anywhere where all the other gang members are. And so they got this program here that, it's 6 months, it's a couple hours a week, taught by one of the officers here. He doesn't even have the credentials. He just reading off a book, but it is what it is. And it's something, I'll do anything. I've been doing anything, and I'll continue to do anything.
Because you've been doing like in-cell packets and tablet work. Is that kind of what I'm understanding?
Constantly, all day long,
Vocational classes and stuff.
everything.
What have you learned? What insight have you gained as far as practical putting it to use if you're granted another parole?
My biggest thing is, so when we get out on parole, parole is 36 months, but there's a lot of stuff that they want you to do. They want you to do the criminogenics need and get into some therapy and stuff right away. And my thing is I get overwhelmed and I shut down. I kick the family away. I make bad choices and stuff, and I go back to what you know. You go back to what you know, because anytime you're uncomfortable, it means change. So when you start changing and all these things overwhelm you, I don't know how to channel it. I'll go to my mom or to my girl and ask her for $20 to get drugs, but I can't go to them for help. So I'm learning how to say, hey, I need some help. Hey, I'm feeling this type of way. Can you help me? And that's kind of where I've been at lately, is just how You know, take the pride out of this. Take the pride and do away with it. You know, I'm 40 years old. I feel like, you know, less than a man if I can't do this on my own. But the fact is I can't. I don't know how to live like a life out there. I don't know how to function out there. So my cousin's on board, my girl's on board, my family's on board. My mom has moved her entire life. To try to help not just me, but my family. It's like, I've been here 8 times. It's like, and you're still there? For what? But like, I mean, I'm not gonna give up. Sean, that was the best PO I ever had. I mean, they tried to help. I just get overwhelmed and I self-destruct.
Well, you know, I think over the years you've had lots of experiences, negative, some periods of positive. You've done classes, and I think you've been exposed to things that you're familiar with. You need to do. I'd encourage you to continue with that. That's what the board's going to look for moving forward. Objective evidence of positive change, objective evidence that you are in a place to break that cycle. And I think step one is, you know, being honest with yourself about what you want, making a decision to put the effort forth and trying your best and analyzing what's gone wrong. And I'll tell you what, as I'm looking at the file, one thing is absolutely clear to me, and I think should be clear to you, is absconding. If you're granted parole and you abscond almost immediately, that's a straightaway path to where we are right now. And there's really nothing that a supervisor, someone that's there, can do to help you with that. So I'd encourage you to continue working on a plan. If the board does order you to complete a program, focus on those things. Focus on how to make those changes and try to plan for them. So that's my input with that. I do note you had a disciplinary June 7th, 2024 as a B11 in area with drugs or alcohol. Looks like it said you had in your possession medication that did not belong to you. Were attempting to transfer it to someone else in the day room. What happened here? Were you passing pills to someone else?
So in Antelope, in Max, in the new prison, you get single cells. So you have to pass coffee or whatever. Well, when the guy asked me to pass a piece of paper with some ibuprofen or whatever shit in it to somebody else, I did. But when I passed it, it got intercepted by one of the officers. And, you know, and it's kind of, I know you say, hey, well, don't pass anything. It's kind of hard in there because like it's different in here. You can't, stuff like that makes your time real hard. Like if you're supposed to look out for the next guy or whatever. So hey, pass a shot of coffee. Hey, can you pass this, you know, this roll of this food or whatever to this guy? I don't know what's in it. He just asked me to pass it. So I pass it, it gets intercepted. It just happened to be whatever pill was in there. And I can't be like, well, that's his. I have, because I say some stuff like that, I'm a dead man. So I have to, that's mine. Everything, whatever that is, I'm sorry about it, but it's mine. It's just the way it goes.
And you had a disciplinary July 11th, 2025. It says you stole someone else's commissary while you were out in the wreck. What happened here? Did you take someone else's commissary?
I sold some pockets on some shorts for somebody. He owed me a bag of coffee, didn't pay me for 2 weeks. I had the opportunity he had 5 bags of coffee. He owed me 2. I took the 2 out of his bag and kicked the rest under his door. He told on me. Gave me theft.
And there's a disciplinary July 22nd, 2024, A06, A19, B05. The report here, it says during a phone call, you gave warnings of impending violence to another individual unless money was paid to another person. There's used threats and coercion to obtain funds from this individual to be paid to a different individual. I think including unauthorized contact to a family member of someone else to engage in these threats. What happened here? What was this? What happened at this incident?
My cellie used my phone pin. I had nothing to do with that.
So you deny any involvement in this?
Yes.
I've read your written submissions, talking about future release. If you were to be granted a release, I've got some notes on that. Want to give you an opportunity today, if you are granted a parole or release, what your plan would be.
Take it slow, first of all. I'll surround myself with the family members that I talk to on a daily basis, mom, cousin, girl, work on getting some therapy, some slow therapy. I got a good job to go to. So what I would like to do, I know they give you 36 months on parole. People want to get off parole a lot sooner. I know that like the parole officers want you to get in there and get all your stuff done pretty quick. But like you got 36 months. I'd rather do 36 months out there taking my time than 36 months in here doing this crap. So I would like to work and get comfortable with just being out of this environment. When you go from one extreme to the next, it's a lot to process. Like even just the colors, the smells, the people, it's a lot. It's anxiety, it's overwhelming. So I'd like to just 3 to 6 months, just work, get into some type of therapy, get back on my medication, and then do that, work on my fines, and then slowly, get into whatever the board stipulates, the criminogenic needs, all those things, working on getting my kid, my life back, going to these programs, getting involved. I got a few ideas as far as like motivational speaking. I want to get into like I've been doing it's a different type of programming. It's more of meditation and stuff like that I've been doing on my own and on these tablets in here. That's the only thing that's really been helping me. And so find groups and stuff out there that are doing those things. I got a great support group. But my thing is I'm always trying to, within the first 2 weeks, have a car, have a job, have all these things. And it's not realistic. I just set myself up to fail. Communicate more. Stop trying to, take everything on my own. Like it's a lot for everybody. Like ask for help, ask for guidance.
I do note that I reviewed letters of support from a friend of yours, various family members as well, discussing motivation to change, family support, desiring the best for you, desiring for you to make changes to improve your life, etc. I've provided a summary of those things. The board will review those letters of support as they're considering your case. We're just about out of time. With today's hearing, want to give you a chance to make any final statements if you'd like to for the board.
I asked that. I know like it's the same song and dance in here. You guys see a lot of stuff all the time. You get a matrix, usually they go with it. I've never seen anybody get less in their matrix. I'm doing the same amount of time as some of these crazy cases, that I've seen with abductions and kidnappings. So I'm doing the same amount of time for drug charges. I'm not downplaying what I did. I know that I take responsibility for my stuff. But I'm asking I don't want to be this statistic anymore. I don't want to do this. There's more options than just to throw them in here, let them do 38 months. And I get this little program in here, give a little time cut and stuff, but it's damn the time cut. Like I need real professional help. I want to be in an environment and around people that are actually there for help, not for the paycheck or the time. Like the time cut's one thing, but this is my life, man.
Well, looking in your file, the cycle of domestic violence, the behavior that occurred on this parole, I find concerning. And certainly the write-ups that you have here as well, I think there's work to do to establish some evidence of positive change, of a readiness to be compliant. So I'd encourage you to focus on those things as well. Quickly wanted to just check. My understanding is you're not currently taking any mental health medications. Is that correct?
No, I'm not.
How's your mental health right now, would you say?
I'd say it's pretty good. I'm sober, I'm healthy, I've been working out and stuff. I'm reading and doing the best that I can. For the most part, I feel like I'm okay. Going through some things, but I think the things right now that are going on are kind of normal. Everybody has their problems, everybody's struggling.
Okay. What I'll do from here is take your case under advisement. I've put together a report of what I reviewed before today's hearing. I'll include what we discussed at today's hearing into that report, and then I'll submit that to the members of the board in the next few days. The board makes the ultimate decision. There's 5 of them. They make the decision by majority vote. Sometimes that takes a few days for a decision to be made. It can take a couple weeks to get that decision. We'll send it to you in writing through the mail, and it will also be posted to the Board of Pardons website if there's anyone in the community that would like to access it there. So with that, Mr. Bradshaw, thank you for being here and discussing these things with me. I wish you the best of luck moving forward, and we'll go ahead and conclude today's hearing.
Hey, one question, man. Like, if you're saying you're putting in your notes and stuff to the board, my matrix is 38 months. If you just straight up with me, like, what's your recommendation?
I
Above?
don't state my
Or-
recommendation on the record. I've been instructed not to. We don't want to set any sort of expectation. Say one thing may happen, because ultimately the board does what they deem appropriate. So really the best way from here is I'll submit my report to the board. They'll make that decision, and then we'll notify you within the next couple weeks. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and conclude.
What do you think Utah did? I'll let you know. Drum roll. They granted, and basically he had to serve another like 2 months. And they said, you can get out 4/1/2025. At the time of this recording, 5/16/2025. He's still out. I ran a search just to double check to see if he'd gotten into anything, and I couldn't find it. And before we, I guess, talk about his hearing, right, him being the victim and whatnot, I don't buy it. I don't buy it that he didn't threaten the kids and what. Yeah, there is that code, but we see it all the time. And when you're on narcotics, you say and do different things. Now, here's the crazy thing. This is what he's initially in for. What really got him started in this cycle, and I wonder if this is the same woman who he says he's been with all his life, right? You can't recognize the man. It's just crazy. This is 2019. Now remember, he starts his criminal career right here in 2020. So it's for this crime, right, that he gets locked up. And the crime, it was for really breaking into a home to evade police. We'll go over it in details. Not the craziest stuff in the world, but they did throw the book at him. They gave him 1 to 15 years. Now, Utah, it is a gimmick. Their whole sentencing, as you can see, it's like 0 to 5 years, 0 to 5, 1 to 15. He doesn't actually serve that time. He gets parole, as you can see here, a parole hearing within 7 months of I guess officially getting sentenced, and he's granted 5 months later, September 28th, 2021. And then it seems that he has a rescission hearing. The dates don't really add up to me. It says parole granted, but then he has 8. He has a rescission. He must have gotten out earlier than that, because he has a rescission hearing immediately after. And he gets revoked. He has another hearing where he gets paroled, and then he gets revoked. He gets a warrant for his arrest 5 months later. Then he gets parole revoked and granted, and now here he is again. I mean, he's been in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, and he's still not, in my opinion, I didn't hear. I mean, you feel like maybe he's at rock bottom. He had that moment where he breaks down, and you hope he's at rock bottom. But I'm so jaded. I've seen this time and time again. I buy into it. I say, you know what? This man is rock bottom. He's done. He's good to go. And literally 3 months later, we'll see him revoked. Just covered a hearing like that out of Louisiana. The guy showed up to his hearing after being given a gift. He lasted 11 whole days. Mr. Natsa gave him a gift and said, instead of revoking you, we'll send you to work release. He lasted 11 days, showed up to his hearing. It looked like he was loaded. He's scratching himself all over. Like he was still getting the juice in jail. And I just can't give people credit anymore. And also you got to take full accountability. It was interesting though. He's like, yeah, I was abusive to her, but she's got to stop messing around with other guys. But I did it. I have my prison code. I did not threaten the kids. Now let's see what happened here. What got them locked up. So Simmons went over a fence and into the home of the backyard. where he and Anderson went inside the house through a window and he broke in, the affidavit says. So they're running from the cops, right? Police said that he recklessly drove through a field and continued to flee from police in the car before stopping when he and Anderson got out of the car and fled on foot. Simmons went over to the fence. Once inside the home, Simmons and Anderson were seen by the homeowner, who later positively identified as one of two people who broke into the home. So, oh, sorry, I thought I was on. He's like, this is Utah. Utah is like an open carry state, like a carry state. Very easy to get a carry weapon there. Second Amendment all the way. So, frankly, I mean, he's lucky he wasn't blasted. Simmons then left the house and hid in a shed. Police found and apprehended him at the end of the affidavit stated. When Anderson left the first home the pair had broken into, she tried to break into a different residence, but was unsuccessful. She also hid in a shed and was apprehended by police. Police said Simmons was uncooperative with officers and wouldn't answer. And what led them on the police chase? Is it up here? So 2 individuals were arrested and booked to Salt Lake County Jail Wednesday after police says one of them stole a car and both broke into a home. So this got them to 0 to 15. Again, I wonder if it's the same partner in crime that he's locked up for now. But there you have it, and it's hard for me to get over the fact that this is what he looked like when he was first locked up in 2019, and here we are in 2025, and but it really is the system that Utah's created. We don't see this in other parole hearings, right? We cover Iowa, we cover Connecticut, we cover Vermont, we cover Utah, we cover Louisiana, now we cover Minnesota, and we just don't see it. You can go to prison and it doesn't seem that you're like, it's like the 2 options in Utah. You either join a gang and then you're forced to put in work, usually cash new felonies while you're locked up. You come in looking like this, you leave looking inked up, or you go to PC. I mean, that just seems like the 2 options. And that is clearly a broken system, in my opinion. And with that, I'll let you go.
Don't mess with children. Don't mess with old people. Despite what people think about us in here, there are rules. There are things that we do follow. Hurting kids isn't one of them. But yeah, I do remember saying that it's best for me not to be around because I'll burn her shit down. Whether it's her house, her car, whatever. Whether it's just a statement. However she took it, she's entitled to feel the way she felt.